it's a very good evening to the Friday Late Late. Thank you all for joining and welcome. Don't do many of these Friday Late Lates, but they turn out to be quite good because they're not scripted in any way. And bring a guest on and we just talk West Ham for as long as we want. No script, no sort of agenda. Of course, there are things we're going to talk about. So why don't we just bring the guest on who's wearing the latest West Ham kit? He's got he's wearing a brand new shirt. He's got the third kit on, and I'll show you I'll show you now. Good evening, Nigel.
Still, look, we're like brothers. Look,
Look at that.
Look at
Look
that. Look.
See, my one's, as you told me before we went on air, my one's kept in the wash. Your one's faded a little bit.
My one's original. You can tell because it's all peeled off.
Yeah, you
There's
see,
no
I've
ad
still
code.
got the logo on mine, and yours has
Yeah,
gone
yours can
completely.
fit in yours. I was 13 when I bought this shirt, 15 when I last wore it, and you can tell because my belly's hanging out. Fucking hell, look at that. I'll tell you what, I've still got it. I Whetstone want to start worrying about that weigh-in, I'll tell you.
Don't worry, when he comes back from Mexico, he'll be
no.
he'll be enormous, won't he?
Yeah.
You know. How are you? Good week?
Well, I'm breathing in. Yeah, not bad actually. Not bad. I got sunburnt to bits at Whitstable Beach the other day. So.
Oh yeah, you were telling me that you went down there. It sounded quite nice.
Yeah, it was a lovely day Wednesday. Slip, slop, slap, as they say, with the sun cream. I didn't, and
you suffered for it.
I'm still suffering. Yeah.
So we've had quite a week, haven't we? It seems to be the way with West Ham, and I know we're sort of still in transfer window mode, but it seems to be the way with West Ham at the moment that we start the week off really brightly, and everyone's really looking forward to us signing another 15 players, and then by the end of the week, by about Wednesday, everyone's like all of a sudden turned, sort of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One minute everyone's happy, and the next minute by Wednesday, because we haven't signed anyone, everyone gets really moody and upset and pissed off. And then by Friday, we've managed to salvage it by signing a player. I mean, we've talked about this quite a few times, but how are you finding? Is this the worst transfer window shenanigans yet?
No.
In your lifetime, or have we had worse?
Oh no, we've got another WhatsApp group on the go, haven't we? Which last year we didn't. So
yeah.
So I mean, if a week in politics is a long time, a week on WhatsApp in West Ham world.
Fuck me, mate. A fucking day on WhatsApp, let alone a week.
On Monday, we were looking forward to the Irish greengrocer, as I like to call him, Onana.
Onana.
What's his name? Come in and we ended up signing like a 99 with a flake. It was the Cornet from Burnley.
We've said sod the vegetables. We're going for the sweets straight away.
That's it, yeah. So, to be honest, Cornet actually is probably a better signing out of the two.
Yeah, I'm thinking
for the squad wise. We've debated it to death. Obviously, the people which we can do here. But we were all really speculating that Onana was about the future and about replacing Declan Rice. So, and you weren't, so well done. About replacing Declan Rice. The only thing that surprises me, or if things ever surprise me, is the to and fro-in, the way the storyline changed. Has he gone to Everton now? Even that.
Not yet. No.
So, is Everton a smokescreen by his agent to try and panic us?
I mean, I read, I think it was one of the articles I've sent to one of our WhatsApp groups about, it was quite an actually well-written article, I think, from one of the West Ham sites.
Keep talking, I'm going to listen. I've got to get
You're going to change. All right. From one of the West Ham sites, talking about his sister, who apparently is his agent. Apparently, Cornet is one of. There's a number of agencies that operate in Europe, and they have one big name and several small name footballers. And for this group, I don't know the name of them, but for this group, apparently Cornet is their main man. And it feels like, the article I read feels like that they just got a rush of blood to their heads, because this footballer who hasn't had a full season in France is on £6 a week, and all of a sudden his sister, who is also his agent, thought he was worth £100 a week or £130 a week or whatever. And I found that quite hilarious, because I bigged this guy up when we first was linked to him. I think this time last year, I talked about Onana in a very sort of quite a enlightened way. I talked about how he moved. He was being chased apparently by quite big names in Germany, by Munich and Borussia and various other teams like that. And he decided to drop a league in order to make sure that he was getting game time. And to get his experience up, as etc. And that's how Lille came about. They sort of, they found him there. They thought he was great, and that's where they took him to France. So I was bigging him up, saying, clearly this guy, he's being sensible about his career. Instead of going to a big team, you get lost in a big team when you're 18, 19 years of age. You can be on the bench. Look how many players we see in the Premier League who get bought up. I think Chelsea have done it today, haven't they? They bought this young lad, and you kind of won't hear about them for several seasons. And I was impressed by the fact that he went the other way, and then boom, all of a sudden you get these stories coming out about his sister basically using him as a cash cow. Because my understanding is, not only do they get a fee for selling the player, but they also get a percentage of his salary or something. Is that how it works, or something like that?
It's whatever they've got agreement they've got.
Right.
Do they get a finder's fee as well? Because his sister found him, obviously, somewhere. So I mean, this is a thing. A lot of the fans don't realise that the types of different fees that are paid out to agents, are shocking and astronomical.
Yeah.
In equal measures. The weird thing about this Onana for me is he's still a young lad. He's still learning his trade. You can't be paying that much money for a bloke that's played 11 games and sat on the bench a lot in the French league.
Yeah.
If you look at Chelsea, have just gone and bought from Brighton. I'm going to try and pronounce his name, Cucurella.
Cucurella. I know who you mean.
Yeah,
Cucurella,
but I mean
Cucurella,
they've just paid nearly 60 million for him, but he's got a year.
But he's got Premier League.
He's got Premier League experience. They know what we're getting in, and it's weird because if you look at this window, we're celebrating the fact that we've bought a lot of players in. Going out the door, we've raised less than $1 million.
Yeah,
and
with a lace,
and it highlights in a way the way our transfer business in the past can hold West Ham back.
But that's an interesting point, because I know you and I've been talking to you about a script I'm writing, and I'll do a show soon on it, and I'll do it at the end of the transfer window about David Moyes' vision on transfers. Does it then surprise you that, given that what he's spoken about, his mantra on transfers, he's gone for 3 28, 29-year-olds in this window? Instead of Onana is one end of the spectrum, 20 years of age, could be quite valuable in the future, etc. And then out of the blue, this transfer window, we seem to have focused on Kostic, Lingard, Zielinski, all these guys who are at the prime, or I don't want to say past their peak, but they're at the other end of the spectrum, which we won't get any money for if we sold them. Onana, I could see, a future Declan maybe, if you pay well.
And this is the thing where they're bulking, because if you pay 40 million for Onana.
How much are you going to get back?
You know, is he that good that in 2-3 years' time, if he is that good, are you going to get 60 million for him?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is the thing, you know, I can go back to the season we signed Joe Hart, Zabaleta, Nordveit, 2017-18.
Yeah.
And, you know, people said, oh, here he is, he's having a downer. But I was like, we were signing 28, 30-year-olds, peoples. And you go, but you got to think as well, when you're doing in the transfer market, 4 or 5 years down the line. Because what we get is if we go back 4 or 5 years, because we bought constantly 28, 29-year-olds, we got no one to sell.
And we're not only no one to sell, but then it becomes a bigger job to replenish the squad, doesn't it? And that's where we're at now, because a lot of people are talking about how worried they are, even though we've signed 5 players. A lot of people are talking about how concerned they are, how because of the squad's still quite thin. I've been doing some numbers, and I'm going to do a show tomorrow morning on it about the squad size, because even with 5 players in, we're short on numbers. But only if you look at numbers. Only if you look at numbers, and I want to qualify that, because I know, you know, when people go, "Oh my God, we've lost 7 players this summer, Noble, Yarmolenko, etc." And then you're throwing in Kral, and you're throwing in Fredericks, who was eternally injured. You throw in David Martin, who was a 4-choice goalkeeper. And when you start, you know, looking at them more deeply, yeah, it may have been 7 bodies out the door, but how many of them actually really made a big contribution to the league? But what that did was, as people will then rightly point out, was it put a lot more pressure on a smaller squad. You know, and I've got some interesting figures, like, you know, how we've used some players, like unbelievable amount of times, like Fornals played 53 games last season, down to Creswell, who played 42. So you've got a nucleus of players there who have made.
Do you
over
think
40
that's a lot?
appearances.
Do you think that's overplaying?
I think given the number of competitions we were trying to compete in.
No, forget competition. This is all competitions, yeah?
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're
Right?
I know exactly what you're going to say. The historian will say, well, in 1985, they played whatever number of games, etc. And I think, I know that you put that into that perspective. I understand that. But I think a lot of people will see that and say, you know, for a small number of players, all the other players have played 20 games, 25 games, 30, etc. Whereas this nucleus of players have played the most in the squad. So I'm kind of thinking maybe, yeah, that is quite a lot of games per player. You're going to say otherwise.
Well, I keep hearing this, yeah, but then I keep being told that players are fitter than ever.
Yeah.
They're like well-oiled machines. They've got the best physios and training regimes ever than they had. They don't drink, they don't smoke, you know, they eat the right food, they have warm-ups and warm downs and ice baths. And yet the legends of the past went out, played 60-odd games in some seasons, drank, smoked, had steak for a pre-match meal, yeah, and played on pitches that were bogs.
And they had a cup of tea and a cigarette at half time.
Well, and a nip of brandy before the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I don't see those players playing 50 games as being overworked. It's a busy season. But if you want to qualify for Europe, you're gonna do that. You know.
So what do you say to the fans that would say otherwise, where they'll look at those numbers and they'll go, that's why our team was fit? Because there's no denying we kind of ran out of steam at the end of last season. You know,
look, I mean, you can go back. I mean, yeah, I suppose back then all teams had that. Realistic, obviously, the Liverpools and whatever, they had the better quality players. But if you go back to the era I'm talking about, the mid 80s, early to mid 80s, when, you know, we had 42 league games, you would play 2 games in the League Cup in round 2. Yeah, and then you had FA Cup. You could have replays. I mean, we played 3 games in the FA Cup in 1981 and got knocked out in the 3rd round. Yeah, because it went to replay. It went to replay, and before we got knocked out. So people say we won the FA Cup in 1980 because Arsenal had played 3 replays and the semi-final against Liverpool.
So they were putting it down to that rather than us.
Yeah, so we'd had the 2 games in our semi-final. Arsenal were going for Europe and played 4 semi-final games in the FA Cup. So, you don't get that now. And I get it, it's different eras and whatever, but I do not look at that and say, just because he's played 53, I mean, Pablo Fornal has played 53 games. How many minutes did he play, though?
I know. I deliberately didn't put that up, but he actually did play quite a lot of minutes as well. Let's just say happy birthday to Andrew. Happy birthday tomorrow to you, mate, 40th. But yeah, I deliberately didn't put up the minutes there because I know, because you go to the other end of the spectrum, and there are players that hardly played any time at all. Like Krall played six appearances, Krall, but I think he had about half an hour on the pitch. Or something ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one strange one for me. It was hard to judge the bloke because we didn't see him. So all we've got to go on, realistically, is what he did in training. It must have been really poor. But because that's all we got to go on, isn't it? Or it was that it was written into his contract after so many appearances we had to buy him, and Moyes didn't fancy him. He may have been an half decent. I mean, he's a Czech Republic international.
He is actually, with the greatest of respect to him, a decent player. But there's something there. There was something amiss there, wasn't there? And that's the other thing that people are talking about in this window, because as you've said many a time, I've kind of repeated it. We live in our West Ham bubble, and we look around and we see other teams. Aston Villa, they went out and bought their whole team within the first couple of weeks of the transfer window, or their new players, should I say? And a few teams have done that, and we kind of look enviously over at other teams and go, how can they do their business so quickly? How can we, don't? And then of course, then it comes to what's going to happen. We're going to get to the end of the transfer window. We still need another 2 players, and we're going to panic buy. We're going to panic bring in Krall and panic buy players like Vlasic, etc. Do you think that's valid?
Well, it is. This is a strange season as well, because we've got a lot of games to play before the end of November, when it all stops. And then we come back at the end of December, the transfer window opens again. Now, there's a bit of me sometimes I think don't throw all your money away now.
You've only got a few games,
for January. Yeah, and you still got. Let's see. You might want to freshen up. I mean, what have we brought in now?
5 players.
5 players. I mean, first teamers. Are we going?
I reckon 4 of those
3?
will be first. No. I think you look at who they are. Areola should be a first teamer for most teams.
Yeah.
Aged, when he's fit, will be a starter. Cornet, who we got today, will definitely be a starter. And then you've got Scamacca. He's got to be a starter. So out of the 5, I would say just maybe Downs would be the player that you would think will probably be a bit part player throughout the season, cup games and stuff like that. So that ain't bad. And see, this is it. Yeah, Moyes did say, didn't he? He did say back in January, I'm not just going to bring anyone in. I'm going to take my time, and I'll give him credit where credit's due, because I did a show a couple of months ago when the season ended. I suggested to people that we might have a smaller squad going into next season than we might have less bodies, but we might have more quality. And what he's done is he's definitely brought in more quality. I mean, you look at a replacement, Areola. Okay, I know he was there before, but he's still a signing. Otherwise, if he'd have gone, we'd have had to buy another keeper. Even young Downs, replacing, let's say, Mark Noble.
Yeah.
Scamacca replacing Yarmolenko. Cornet replacing our beloved King Arthur. So he has actually done what he said he's going to do. He's actually improved the squad, hasn't he? He's got now. If you look at the bench, when they're all fit and ready, you're going to look at the bench and go, "I've got options now." Whereas maybe we didn't quite have that. I mean, Martin's asking this question. We've got 5. How many more do we think we need? And given what you just said about the number of games that have been played in the past, in past back in history, you know, do we need? Moyes has said in his press conference today, we're still not finished. There's more work to do. But how many more do you think we're going to get? Moving forward.
I mean, I would take the punt on another one coming in.
Do you think only one?
Yeah, I'd think only one. He's very cautious, isn't he? And sometimes bringing too many new players in can upset the nucleus of a team. At the end of the day, he's finished 6th and 7th. I've already explained loads of times that's possibly the 2 best back-to-back finishes in the Premier League that we've had ever. So he's achieved that. He's now going for his 3rd top 10 finish in a row. That's only ever happened twice in our season. Once by John Lowe in the 80s, and the second time by Harry Redknapp at the end of the century. So, so even to achieve that, a 3rd top 10 finish in a row, he's making his own bit of history. But he's done the previous 2 seasons off of a nucleus of a team.
Yep.
So does he want to rip that up, or does he want to?
Well, this is your mantra, isn't it? It's not revolution, it's evolution.
Yeah.
But if he went more, because I thought he might get 6 in, so I'm 1 away from that. But does that not depend on whether we lose some players as well? There's talk about Vlasic going and maybe Diop going, and ironically, if we lose them, even if we do get another player in,
well, look,
we are actually going to have about 20 players.
Well, you say that. Diop was going to go out the door until a guard done his ankle.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So the signing of a guard, looks a good signing, but it was one of them. Well, we've got 4 centre halves. Why are we buying a 5th? So it was obvious one was going. It looked like Diop to be the one. And then, so you've got that Vlasic. I don't know. There's a bit of me that thinks it could be. I thought he did well in the European games. Perhaps he is suited to that. And when we're playing on the European front, perhaps it is wise to keep him for the Conference League.
And that's interesting because he's actually looked quite sharp in pre-season when he's played down the middle, which he says is always the position he prefers to play in. So
perhaps now he may even get that chance. But then again, we've already got the likes of Lanzini. I mean, Lanzini would probably play down the middle behind the striker. Fornals, to be honest, would probably prefer to play. What we're looking at here is Vlasic is what we call an old-fashioned number 10, attacking midfielder. Well, we could think of 3 players that would start there before him, because we've got Ben Rama as well. And they would prefer to play that central attacking midfielder rather than, or the free roamer, rather than pushed out wide or left. So I can't see a future for Vlasic at West Ham, I must admit. But who knows? For me, give him another run out. It could be you move him on in January.
Yeah. I mean, Moyes is sounding like he wants someone else in that middle of the park. So maybe in more competition, maybe if he does get another player there, you're right. It's what you said about Diop. Vlasic would be the one to go. I think that's probably what Moyes is. I've got a gut feeling now that we're probably going to get 2 more in order to let Diop and Vlasic go. That's my thinking.
But then what you thinking he's going to sign another centre half?
Strangely enough, yeah, I do. Or he'll sign a left back, and then he'll have the option of being able to use Creswell more as a centre half, as the centre of a back three,
Yeah.
which he's done before.
Oh
But it'll
yeah,
give him
no,
that. It'll give him that option a bit more often.
yeah. I mean, the only the weird thing is that I do find is he's obviously then he's not going to be rating Diop because Ogbonna has surely got. I mean, he's only got 2 years at best.
I think he's worried about Ogbonna. I think he when he was asked today, he said, "Oh, we've got quite a few. We've got a few."
Didn't Ogbonna play for the under-23s today?
He played for the
under-21s. Sorry, they got
under
beat.
21s now. Yeah, he did do. But I think he's worried about Ogbonna. I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he. I think he's. It might be in the back of his head that Ogbonna might not be able to deliver what he's been able to deliver over the last couple of seasons, because he's been a superb defender for us over the last few years, and the injury was a bad thing to happen to him. And I think maybe Moyes is worried that Ogbonna just ain't going to be able to hack it. I think he might have lost a bit of pace because of the injury as well.
And
And
his
then
age, you know,
and his age as well.
It does go, you know, the pace drops off noticeably as they get past 32, 33.
So I think maybe he got a Gerd in thinking, well, it'll be a Gerd that will be my starter, and Ogbonna will be the backup on the left side. But now with a Gerd being injured, I do think he'll go for another defender. But I think it'll be a left-sided defender who maybe can mix between the two, maybe can play a centre half and maybe play as a left back, that sort of thing.
They pulled Dawson out of the act, didn't they? So perhaps
they did.
Waiting out there somewhere is another Craig Dawson, someone that will think that is a bit part player. And to be honest, I don't think it has to be I get it. If he's a left-sided centre half, he has to be left-footed. But you can play two right-footed people as centre halves.
You can, but what seems to happen is Moyes ends up putting Zuma there, and as good as Zuma can do a job there, that kind of negates how better he is on the right side of central defence. I think what he wants to do is avoid putting Zuma on the left. So you're right. You're absolutely right. If he can find a player that's more suited to playing on the left side, whether right-footed or left-footed, that's what he might go for. I've got a feeling that'll be, and people are going to be like, it seems easy for Moyes to get defensive players in, but not very easy to get attacking players in. I mean, look, it took us 18 months to get a striker, for example. I'm actually really surprised he's got Cornet, because Cornet can actually play left back, but he's much better suited going down, being an attacking player.
But Moyes was a centre half, wasn't he?
So it's his nature, isn't it?
And Newman was a right back.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know if that is a reason why, but I don't know. Everton, he didn't really buy in strikers as such, did he? You know, one of his best signings was Cahill from Millwall,
midfielder,
and then when Cahill moved on, it was Fellaini, midfielder.
Another midfielder. In fact, I think I looked at how many strikers Moyes bought. I don't even think it's in the double figures. I think it might be just over the double figures. And then maybe he gets his, I mean, the last striker he bought for us, Hugill, was an absolute disaster. And maybe he is a bit of on the cautious side when it comes to strikers. I mean, he said in his interview that we've been looking at Scamacca for quite a considerable amount of time. And you hear the stories about Moyes. He has to watch a player. Was it who was the Lescott? Apparently, he watched Lescott about 30 times or something before he decided to finally buy him. So you can imagine how much longer it takes for him to look at a striker. He must have months and months.
People, and that's where people, and this is why I don't like the Dithering Dave thing that's thrown out of him. I do prefer. The fact is that you can't just go and look at a player, play one game, and think, "Oh, he'll do for me," because that could be the game of his life, and he might not be that normally. He might be doing that once every 4 games. So 30, I must admit, seems a bit extreme because that means he's watched Lescott nearly every game for a season. And that would have been when Lescott was at Wolves. So, which was, I think they flirted with the Premier League for a season or 2 with Lescott before dropping back. And then Lescott was signed for Everton. But he must be a good judge there because they managed to sell him on to Man City when Man City were building with the money.
Yeah,
so,
true.
you know, a player that they bought, had really good service at and sold for a profit.
So that's the Moyes mantra, isn't it? That's what he wants to do with West Ham. So maybe, you know, going back to the original player we were talking about, Onana, you kind of saw that. You saw a prospect there, you know, and like, but then we got outpriced, didn't we, in the end? So
well, it is possibly twofold. At the end of the day, I've seen someone's made a comment about obviously Onana's Belgium. Martinez has said to him, if you want to go to the World Cup, you've got to play first team football. He's probably got more chance of getting that Everton because they're more desperate. But not only that is, who did Martinez manage?
Everton.
You know, playing for Frank Lampard is a draw. You know, for whatever we think of him. You know, in the world of football, Frank Lampard was a big name and a big star, and like Gerrard at Villa, people will be attracted to playing for him. So,
okay, that's a good point. Let's move on to that. We've seen the big names that have come and gone in this transfer window, and I'm thinking specifically Kostic and Zielinski from Napoli. If those we know we're in for Kostic, that's for definite. Zielinski, I don't know. I don't know if it was corroborated whether we actually made a bid for him or not. There seems to be an awful lot of stories that suggest that we did. But both of those players have looked at West Ham and gone, not big enough. Are we an attraction? Is it West Ham? Is it Moyes? You've just said about Everton and Frank Lampard. Lampard can be a draw to get the name players in. Would either of those players, Zielinski playing for Napoli and Kostic playing for Frankfurt?
Who do you see as a bigger football club? Compare West Ham and Everton. Who are you calling as bigger?
It depends on whether you're talking about how many.
No. Come on. Like don't worry about what I'm saying. If people throw that word out, who's bigger? In your terms, who's bigger, Everton or West Ham?
I hate to say it, but we're probably on a par.
All right. Okay.
What do you think?
Well, Everton, a team that's never been relegated from the Premier League, the second longest team, I believe, or possibly the longest top flight team. No, second longest behind Arsenal. The second longest top flight team in the country. Won league titles, FA Cups, historically and in the past 30 odd years. So I think realistically, Everton are a bigger draw.
But if you look at recent, would you say that?
No, recently, I think Everton,
historically, yeah.
I think recently in the Premier League, Everton, we're sort of similar in a way.
Yeah.
The way I see it is that you've got the 5 or 6. I think we can say Tottenham have now gone into that 6. And then you were left with us, Newcastle, Villa, Everton, fighting out for the places below. And that's, so, you know, that's the way. For me, Leicester were gate crashing our pot rather than gate crashing the pot above. Even though they've won the Premier League, they won the Premier League, then dropped back, and then they had 2 top 5 finishes or 2 fifth-place finishes when actually they were 4th most of the season in both leagues, and on the last day fell away to finish 5th. Last season, bad season for them, or was perceived to be a bad season for them. Now, selling players, not buying anyone. Apparently, money's tight. You know, is it a warning for a club like West Ham in regards to finances, that at some point you have to pay the bills? Yeah, you can't keep putting it on the credit card, because at some point it will be called in. Now, you know, 2 years ago we were all complaining about Leicester's state-of-the-art training ground,
and now they're in a bit of disarray.
You know, players are leaving. Harvey Barnes is out injured. Is he going to be able to replace him? Because he's bought no one. They've bought no one.
Anyone, yeah. And also, you look at Everton; they went and spent big money, big salaries, etc. And they're on the cusp, you know. So it's
Everton are on the cusp, and the only reason Everton are on the cusp is because of the war in Ukraine. And I think it now does highlight is because their owner Mashiri, I believe, is Iranian. Yeah, so nothing to do. But of course, there was the unsaid rumor that Mashiri is being bankrolled by Usmanov. Now, Usmanov's company was going to be the sponsors of Bramley Dock Football Club, Bramley Dock Football Stadium, Everton's new home, which is being built as we speak and is going up rapidly quick. They are not mucking about and putting it up. Now, he can't sponsor that no more. So they were sort of washing their money using sponsorship. That's all dried up, and this is Everton's problem. But at the end of the day, you know, they can take the Premier League money, adjust it. They're still a big draw. We're getting 40, they get 38, 40,000.
40,000, yeah.
You know, if you look at the finances of what they bring in for their 40,000, it's not far behind us with our 60,000.
Well, now that takes me to another question, and I like this because we're sort of going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
When our fans or portions of our fans, you know, point to the board and go, spend the money. You can't just go out and just spend money like it's, you know, just like that, can you? Do you get why we've been the way we've been? I mean, we've actually spent. We're now the second or third highest spenders in the Premier League.
Well, net spenders,
Net
but what you could argue there is the reason for that is because we've not been able to sell anyone for any value whatsoever.
But the money's still being spent.
No,
you know, do we spend our money? Are the board tight? Or do they now finally have a manager?
What I'll say is, you can't do this every season.
No,
you can't. You know, you can't.
We are going to be faced with this next season, at the end of next season as well, because we've got.
Will the money be there again?
Yeah.
You know,
because next season, at the end of next season, we're going to probably lose another 3 or 4 players. Maybe not as bad as this time round, but I think Cresswell will be at the end of his contract. Ogbonna. And then there's a couple of others that will be at the end of their contracts. So we are going to have.
I mean, if you look, let's take it then. Fabianski possibly. Yeah, all right. We've got Areola there, so you know we should be all right. Cresswell would need, I think, Dawson and Ogbonna possibly.
Yeah, Dawson's at the end of his contract. Ogbonna as well.
You know, you got Dawson and Ogbonna. Cresswell, it's in defence actually where the problem is, or the problem in the future will be. But you know, let's see what it goes. The thing is for me where I don't go is I don't get hung up on progression. Now it might be that we sign these players just to stand still, and people can complain about that, but then I would say, well, just imagine if we hadn't signed them players. Yeah, because if that's what it is to stand still, you know, that's what it is. But the problem you get is, as I say, with the likes of Leicester now, as you'll see it in the way, Evan, keep doing that. You can't keep doing that. At some point,
it will come back to bite you.
Yeah, we don't know. At the end of the day, we don't know what Kretinsky's long-term plan is. Is he an investor, or is he generally? But when you look at all his businesses, he's there to make money, not to. Even why doesn't he? Why don't? And when I say this about him to people, they go, "Oh, he's going to buy the club. He's going to do this." He's owned. Well, he's been chief shareholder at Sparta for what, 10, 11 years?
Yeah.
But he don't own over 50% of the club.
No, and I think people are looking forward to 2023 as the year where things are going to dramatically change at West Ham, and I don't think they will. Because people are speculating that you hit the nail on the head. People are speculating that Kretinsky will take over next season, and be the well. I can't see that because it's evident the way he manages his businesses, as you've just rightly pointed out, is he is an investor, and investors they don't own anything; they just own shares in what they invest in. And you want a return on that. I mean, Kretinsky could turn around any time. I don't know what the deal is, the agreement is, but maybe Kretinsky can turn around at some point and go, "That's it. I've done what I want to do at West Ham. I want my money back. I'm off." And then what? So we've got to have that financial stability. To be able to cope without him.
He might like the fact that he's got a stake in a Premier League football club, and that buys him a bit of kudos in the country, and that might be why he's using it.
Yep. Yeah.
Look, and I point back when this Albert Smith, Trip Smith, whatever you want to call him, bought into the club. It was 10%. He's a stalking horse. He's going to be buying us. Yeah. And he's just sat there with his 10%
and done nothing.
With it. Yeah. Why? Because he just wanted to be into an English football club. Wanted to be into West Ham United.
And he's not a poor man.
No, and that's what I'm saying.
He's not a poor man.
No, but he's not a stupid man.
But he's not stupid.
He's not a stupid man. Because at the end of the day, going up on another tangent, if you look, what would it financially take for West Ham to get past, 2 or 3 years' time, Newcastle will expect to be knocking on the door of the top 4. So to actually finish 4th, you got to hope that 4 of those teams have a bad season.
Yeah.
To get 4th.
Yeah. Or you might have a fluke where Leicester, I don't want to call it a fluke, but
that was a fluke. And I'll tell you why, because nobody saw Tottenham having that season that they had. Yes, they finished 3rd, but when you look at, Madly, that was the year we should have finished 4th.
Yeah.
I think we were 4 points off City, 5 points off City. So losing to Swansea and Stoke City in the last 3 games, that was it there. That was 4th spot there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was where we were closer to 4th than we were when we finished 6th
last season.
Yeah.
Or the season before last. Garino's got a question. What did Kretinsky invest in? In my opinion, he bought into us getting the London Stadium, land and property. Do you think there's a lot of mileage in that? There's still talk about that we're going to take over the stadium, but we've never wanted to own the stadium, have we? Or has that changed?
No, I don't. Well, right. If we own the stadium, it's a thing. So the stadium's contracted, yeah. So there's 19 years left with the catering contract. Yeah, you've still got Athletics have still holding on to their contract, and there's a big argument going on. We've got the Mayor of London, who, without talking to UK Athletics,
he
announces I want to bid for the Olympics because no one's got any money no more. And with sustainability being the big buzzword and everything around, the Olympics and everything, that credit crunch Olympics as the world, whatever, actually reusing existing Olympic venues is a money saver. We've still got all our Olympic venues. A lot of countries have had to dismantle a lot of what they built for the Olympics or whatever. Look at Greece, innit? They virtually nearly bankrupted Athens.
Bankrupted themselves to run it.
To run it. Even Australia, that they had problems. Their Olympic stadiums had 4 different names. So the weird thing is, by having West Ham there, that our Olympic stadium's probably got one of the best legacies going for an actual stadium.
Because it's being used.
He's got baseball coming back, and
Yeah.
you got baseball. He wants it to be a multi-use venue, and he throws the spanner in the works. I want to get the Olympics. Now, if you want to get the Olympics, you got to keep athletics there. If you keep an athletics there, you got to keep the stadium as it is. Also, if he wants athletics, he ain't looking to dispose of the stadium, is he?
No. But then he might just be talking big bollocks, and none of it will happen.
The fact he didn't even speak to UK athletics just shows you it was mathing off at a press conference. I don't know if you've drawn attention. They had a big thing. People may not realise they had a big thing. 10 years since the London Olympics. When it was done, legacy was a big thing about it, about the stadium and the area. Now, every time we go there, new buildings are being built.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you find the map from pre-2010, 2012, you see the map of what they were building. It was green. Yeah, it was a park. Slowly but surely, land's being built on and developed. So that ain't the park that the residents of Newham, as I was at the time, got shown. Or whatever. It's still nice to go there and have a walk about, and I do now and again. We'll go and walk around the park, down on the canal and whatever. But there's a problem with legacy there and what it really did for the local area, and I think that's what he was sort of grandstanding. But it just puts a seed of doubt in, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think it was bluster. I don't think he's gonna. I don't even think he'll be around to sort of see it all materialize. Because he'll probably get kicked out or whatever, or however you do the elections. And I think it was bluster. But you're absolutely right. All of a sudden, if you're West Ham United and you are maybe half thinking I want to own the stadium, that puts a spanner in the works. The last thing you're going to want to do.
Well, how much does it cost to run the stadium?
Yeah, I don't know. I know our friend Mr. Webstone knows.
Yeah, so they're losing millions every year.
Yeah,
they're losing millions every year. Who picks up the bill? The owners.
Yeah, well,
the owners. Yeah. So if West Ham buy the stadium as it is at the moment,
we pick up all that debt.
So so what they want is control of the stadium. They need control of the contracts, and they have to do that. And that's the thing. Realistically, what they have to wait for is they have to wait for the LLDC to break the contracts with the people that they're to allow West Ham, if they wanted to come in and run the stadium.
Haven't the LLDC only got a year or two left of their existence?
Well, at the end of the day, how long do you need to keep the London legacy? I mean, they managed it. I don't know. Older people may remember there was a thing called the London Docklands Development Corporation, the LDDC, who was put in charge of regenerating the Canary Wharf area and the Royal Docks area. And, people could argue they did a really good job. I could argue how many local people are employed in Canary Wharf that aren't cleaners.
Well, they did a good job for big businesses. Absolutely.
But
you're absolutely right.
When they regenerated the area, You know, they like it or not. You know, those of us, you know, my family turned up in Newham in 1858. Out you go. We don't need you anymore because we want to build nice new houses for the nice people to live here. And while we like, and I don't want to get political, but that's the facts, and that's the way regeneration works. It's about kicking out the people that lived there when it was a slum and put nice houses for nice people, and we can have nice coffee shops.
I'm laughing. I don't live around there, so
no,
but no, you're right.
Because the coffee shops are shit. That's why you don't live around here.
Coffee shops are shit, actually. Yeah, too expensive for what they are. But that's the gentrification of that area, and you're absolutely right. So when it comes to the LLDC, you know, again, they're not looking at, and this is what you've just alluded to. They're not looking at how much green land they're going to have left, or you know, it's about how much more money can be made out of that. So someone sooner or later is going to want to own that stadium in order to, because someone just said about, there you go, Mark said, sorry Pat, I'll come back to you in a second. They have to diversify concerts, sporting events, conferences, etc. And I guess to bring the money in, because it isn't. But even those are costing them money.
It's a funny fact, isn't it? And this is the greatest fact of all about the London Stadium. What was the best year the London Stadium had?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. 2020-21, I believe.
Well, pandemic, of course, when it was all closed down.
Because they just left it in football mode. They didn't need to open the stadium. They didn't need stewards. They didn't need police. They played football games with no fans. And while it lost money, it lost the least amount of money as in the years when West Ham.
The irony. Yeah, I mean, so Mark, you got a point. They do need to diversify, but Nigel's correct. It costs them more money to run these events than it does without. And Garino's blaming, Garino's saying that you're blaming Costa Coffee.
Well, they're a byproduct of regeneration. But I just laugh because I just think so. What idiot actually signed that deal to cost the taxpayers millions and millions of pounds and allow West Ham to take it?
That happened to be the guy that's in charge of the country for another month or so.
If people were surprised at what clusterfuck he made of the country, just look at what he did with that deal. And no, but it is, at the end of the day, West Ham did, get a fantastic deal to go there. You know,
Brady had their pants down. I mean, as much as I know you don't like her, she had their pants down, didn't she? I mean, she really did. Scarborough, we are going to go back to transfer stuff in a minute, but I'll promise you we will. But as this show is non-scripted, we just sort of go off on a tangent. But yeah, Brady, I mean, as much you can't, you got to give a. I know you're not going to, but you got to go. Don't choke. I know you got.
You got to give her credit.
You got to give her credit where credit's due. She pulled off the deal of the century on that stadium, didn't she?
Look, West Ham Business Club did very well out of it, but I support West Ham Football Club.
All right. So talking about deals, etc. So as we've seen, Cornet, what's he going to bring to West Ham? This ain't a bad signing at all. You talked about it right at the beginning of the show. In hindsight, this may be a better transfer than the Onana, because he can play a number of positions, can't he? You know, he plays as a, let me show you a stat. So this is his career, more or less, to date. So everyone's talking about him being a striker. He was turned into a left back when he was at I've got the bloody name now. It's not Lille. Damn it. The French club he played for, whatever that. Lens, yeah, thank you.
I don't know.
I'm
guessing there. Don't ask me.
No, it wasn't Lens. It wasn't Lens. It's Lyonnais.
I knew it began with L.
Yeah, it started with an L. So he's played left back for around about a season-ish or so. Lyon, thank you, Uncle M. Uncle M gave us the answer, and that started with we did say Lyon, didn't we? We said Lyonnais. He's done left midfield, left wing, right midfield, right wing, so he can cover for Bowen. He can play left wing back. He can play left attacking player. He can play as a striker. Last season, he was more attacking player. 12 appearances for Burnley up front, but then left wing. I mean, we've actually bought the next Antonio, haven't we? In terms of this player can almost
Well,
play anywhere you
I
need him
get
to
what,
play.
yeah, I get what you're saying there. Actually, is it his next pet project? Because I think if I remember rightly, he got a couple of goals for Burnley, and I don't know if you go back and look at them. There was definitely one very Antonio-esque.
Yeah,
So
it could
you
be. I
know,
mean, it's because we were before he came to Burnley. Apparently, we were interested in him. Of course, we were. Before he signed for
well, look,
Burnley.
we've said before about in previous shows how do you place Antonio, and we've looked at players. For me, the one at Wolves, Traore, who went to Barcelona.
Oh, mate, he's not a
Well,
footballer. He's
yeah, but
just a lump.
for me, yeah, he was brutal with out and out pace, and I was hoping the boys had the ability to teach him how to put the ball in the net. Even though, to be fair, I think he did that against us for Middlesbrough and for Wolves. So the man can score. He didn't do it as much as he should have done. His ability, but that could be coached into him. The other one was, of course, Alison Maxman. Who's a big star, obviously, up in Newcastle. I thought we might be able to get him. He'd be one to get out the door, but it looks like he will get better and better under Eddie Howe and maybe keep his spot in. As Newcastle, in a way, it's good to see that Newcastle ain't going mad with the money. Because this is the thing.
It's because we thought we thought Newcastle was going to blow everyone out of the water, didn't we?
Yeah, and
And it ain't happening.
No, it ain't. It ain't happening.
So he's a good player. He's a versatile player. He's gonna give us options and he's gonna give us pace. When we keep talking about, we have a lack of pace, and you can see.
And he's Premier League ready. And this
And
is
he's
the
Premier
thing with
League ready.
Onana. When you look at it, we just paid 17 million for a Premier League ready player. And yet, people were saying, oh, we should pay 40 million for this Onana and throw money at him.
No
And
one's
he's not
seen
got,
play.
no, yeah. And, it could go either way. That's what I call a gamble signing.
And it's a massive gamble for that sort of money.
Well, it is for West Ham, but the thing about it is that we go back to now what we were talking about earlier. How does West Ham progress? How comes, Brighton can find this bloke that they can sell to Chelsea for 60 million. When did West Ham ever sell a player like that? What was the last player that we brought through, brought through and sold for big money?
We haven't. Well, Ferdinand, Rio, maybe
Came through our academy. Didn't buy him.
He came through our academy, but even he was sold on the cheap, I think, even back then.
Well, you could say that because he was only at Leeds a year and a half and went for another 12 million. But at the time, 18 million was big money
for us. So. Yeah. And it kept. Well, anyway, we won't go into the brown paper bags and no tax paid and stuff like that.
Dogs with bank accounts.
Dogs with bank accounts, exactly. So, I mean, it's an astute, but why is it? And this is the one thing that fans keep talking about. Why has it taken us so long to get this type of player in when he's been available throughout the whole summer, throughout the whole transfer window? Is it because Moyes has been targeting other players? Like, had we bought Kostic at the age of 29, would we have also bought Cornet? Or it wouldn't have been. It would have been one or the other, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and if you look at it, who was the better signing, Kostic or Cornet? Again, there's a bit of me. I don't know. Kostic was pretty damn decent. He was decent the other day. They played Magdeburg, I think, in the cup game. But and Kostic was pretty decent that game. So, while the Premier League is a big draw, playing in England's a big draw, playing in London's a big draw. There's a lot of players who are quite happy. The German league is very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Very competitive.
So, therefore, Kostic must have been looking at us going, it's probably not a move up for me. Might be more money, but not necessarily a move up.
No, if we look at Frankfurt last season where they finished in the league, they threw the towel in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they went for Europe.
They were top 6 team in Germany, Eintracht Frankfurt, knocking on the door top 4 Champions League football. It for whatever reason that they got stuck in a rut in the league and decided, stuff it, we're going to go for the European Europa League, and it worked.
It's a gamble, but it worked.
Yeah, it was a gamble, but it paid off, didn't it?
Should we? I mean, it felt that there was a point in our league last season where it felt that we decided to go for it as well. I think when we got past the quarterfinals, I think Moyes, I'm not saying Moyes didn't take it seriously, but it felt right. This was it now. It felt like the league.
I don't know. I don't think so, because he was still putting out a really strong team in the league, but it was weakened.
Was he putting out a really strong team because he had no choice? It sort of goes back to what we were saying at the start of the show.
Possibly, but he's only then got himself to blame. I mean, when I say you go for it, I can go back to, I think before the FA Cup final, we played Shrewsbury in 1980. Shrewsbury weren't all that. It was their first ever time in Division 2, and they did the double over us and beat us 3-1 at home. And John Lyle dropped 3/4 of the first team. I can then jump forward to the 2006 FA Cup run. We had Man City on the Monday night, and Redknapp put out the reserves on the Saturday to Portsmouth. We lost 4-2 at home to Portsmouth. Absolutely shockingly shite game. I'll never forget it, because I went to work on the Saturday, left work to go and watch the game, to then go back to work till 10 o'clock at night, because I'd left instead of staying at work. So, and I walked into the stadium, see the lineup, and thought, oh, here we go. I hope this ain't a wrong one. Got beat 4-2, but guess what? We won 2-1 away to Man City in the FA Cup. So Redknapp was bailed out. Mm-hmm. But the weird thing is, I think if you look at the team we played against Man United in the League Cup in 2010 in the snow, the Jonathan Spectors and of the light. If you look at the team that was playing that night, I remember walking in, I think Barmorty was in the team or whatever, thinking, oh my God, Avram don't want to win this game. And we won it 4-0.
Yeah, true. So, but then it felt like Avram didn't want to win any league games that season.
Yeah. Well, we could... we can mention, so we can go on a tangent. Coming up, people, we're going to do who is the greatest West Ham manager. I've worked out
don't tell me Avram's anywhere near there.
A scoring system. Well, the thing is, you got to look at it. So you got the league managers and the cup managers,
and he does well in the cup.
Well, it's
that'll be interesting.
So it's one of them. It's one of them surprises, maybe.
And while you're on that, so people, if you have yet to subscribe to 6foot2.co.uk, you need to do that first of all, because what we're going to do is Nigel's just mentioned. I ain't even got it up there. Nigel's just mentioned. He's got a very, very interesting article coming up about because when you ask West Ham fans who's the best manager, people will automatically go, oh, John Lyle and Greenwood, and they'll look that far back, etc. But there's some interesting findings in what you've been looking at, isn't there?
Yes.
You don't want to give much away.
No, yeah. How do you judge it, Pardew? Yeah, it was Pardew, not Harry. That's right, Pardew in 2006. How do you judge it? You got to come up with a fair scoring system. So I think I've come up with a fair scoring system to to judge who is the best ever manager and who is the best ever cup manager. I've split it into league and cup, so there's two charts, to be fair. So people may be surprised. I don't know.
I think there's going to be a few shocks.
So,
but anyway, that's a future thing. JTD wants to know who's Dave.
Who's Dave? Who do you think Dave's new mate is still?
I know. You tell the audience. Are we talking about Mr. Moyes, or are we talking about another Dave that we might?
We're talking about the other Dave, my new mate who got my email.
Oh, fuck me. You know what? That completely slipped my mind. I'm gonna big you up on this because as you all know, or you may not know, a lot of people have been going on about season tickets this season, and there's been a number of things happening, etc. But there's one gentleman. This is another reason why you should subscribe to. Let me just get rid of the Bitcoin crap. There's another reason why you should subscribe to 6foot2.co.uk, because Nigel printed an email that he exchanged, that he sent to a certain Dave that wears a Russian hat, and some good came out of it. Do you want to tell the people what good came out of it? I don't want to steal your thunder.
I was prepared to listen to you blow smoke up, but yeah.
Well, I'm going to blow smoke up your ass because I think it's a fucking good thing that you've done. And Nigel's managed, with the one email exchange with Mr. Sullivan, we now have, those who want season ticket cards will get season ticket cards without having to jump through hoops, as the club have been trying to get us to do. So I'm serious, mate. You deserve a lot of credit for that. So well done.
I mean, it's one of them.
That's why he's got Dave's new mate there.
Yeah, that's why I've got Dave's new mate. So it was one of them things. I collect a lot of West Ham shit. You know that. I can look here. I've got tickets from every season, ticket stubs. Because ticket stubs, actually, they're like a form of art.
Yeah.
So if you look at different styles, because every season it was a different style. So I've got ticket stubs that go back to the 70s and before then. I've got, ticket stubs. I collect, and I've got all my season tickets, or not all of them. The ones I kept from when I started collecting. My uncle got our first season ticket in 1977, 78. And I've still got the ones from 80, 81 going on. That's when I started collecting stuff after the cup final. So, I sent Dave Sullivan an email complaining because when I've got a smartphone, so the new NFC season ticket, you had to have a smartphone. But if you didn't have a smartphone, their answer was, get one. Yeah. Was it not? It was.
Well, kind of they alluded to that, yeah.
Because what and I just felt that while it's good if you've got a smartphone, I've got a smartphone. I don't use it in a smart way. It's there to answer phone calls and emails. That's it. I don't bank on it. I don't have a banking app on it. I refuse to use it. I don't have a card attached to it, so I don't have to fiddle with the phone and try and, pay for something at a till while I'm standing there, because I've got a perfectly good debit card that I can just tap and walk out with. So I won't do it. And I sent an email to Dave Sullivan and sent him a photograph of all my season tickets and told him what you're doing, actually, or what is being done. You see the email. What I said was, what was being done in your name actually, because it's not Dave Sullivan's policy.
He probably didn't even know it was happening.
No, it's a form of discrimination against people that don't want technology. I'm not anti NFC. I'm anti not having the choice. Well, lo and behold, he sends it to the head of ticketing. The head of ticketing sends me an email, desperate to talk to me.
All of a sudden.
And then the very next day after that, you can download your ticket and use it as a barcode.
Quite a quick change around, wasn't it?
And now it seems that you can apply for a card. And cards have been issued without photographs.
I know that was the was it you that sent it earlier on? I was shocked by that.
No, but
someone sent me a photo of this season's season ticket with no card, no photo on it. Yeah.
My objection to ideally, I want a card. On one, because I like the physical and the emotional attachment I have to that card. So if I can't have the card, I'll download my ticket and print it, because believe it or not, I have actually printed off
you're keeping those as well.
Well, I think see, you can see there, yeah. So tickets that I've printed off go into the folder.
People, you've probably realised by now, Nigel sits in his shed and it is West Ham memorabilia. And what are you going to do with it all? When you're old and frail and
what the Vikings did when they died. Yeah,
they burn it all on the bike.
I think my missus just fucking lay me on the floor and set fire to it. The thing is, for years and years, I told her it's valuable, but the truth is, there's so much of it, it's probably worth fuck all. That's a lie. There's some good,
there are some good bits in there. Yeah,
there's some good bits in here. So I like the different stuff. But anyway, so Sullivan passed his email on. Head of ticketing, still I spoke to the head of ticketing. Nicola was very nice to me for 20 minutes. Apparently she claimed everybody was happy last season. No. This is what she said. And then I pointed out to her and said, have you asked everyone if they were happy? Or was it just a case of
because no one
used it? There was no choice though, was there? Yeah. So because you didn't give out season ticket cards last season, no one had a choice. So you didn't ask the people. You just assumed because they didn't complain. And there was one good point she made in that if COVID rears its head again, digital tickets enabled it, because if COVID comes back and they start restricting attendances, it's possible you might not be able to sit in your season ticket seat, and they may have to issue you a different seat somewhere else. So they may have to cut capacity in 50%. Some people will go one game, some people will go another game, and they're going to have to shut areas off. If you've got a digital ticket, they can change that seat number.
That's the good that's an interesting argument, but I think people are sort of thinking that there's more to it than just that.
Yeah.
But it's a reasonable one. Yeah. JTD wants you to do you've done this, haven't you? Not on my channel though, but you've done this before, haven't you? Dedicated to showing off all your memorabilia. If people are interested, I'd love you to do that. And just,
perhaps we'll do one.
Yeah.
We'll do one. But, is there anything you want to see tonight? I don't know.
I think people want to know more about I think this is good. We're trying not to talk about transfers. I wonder how many people might lose if we don't.
Well, we have spoke about transfers, haven't we? So...
we scrape past it. Yeah. John, West Ham's ticketing department's got to be up there. There's been worse, mate, but they've not been fantastic.
I mean, the funny thing about it is that the head of West Ham's ticketing is an Aston Villa season ticket holder. Yeah, and she said, "I'm still
up the local."
No, and she said, "I'm waiting for my card to come out in the post, but luckily Villa are not at home until next week." And I went, "Oh, so you're getting a card off of Villa then?" And then she was like, quickly, oh, well, yes, but that's only for one season because Villa are doing that because they're reconfiguring their game and then they're going to go to why the West Ham YouTubers live in sheds or right behind me as well. You know, I started a trend, didn't I?
You did.
So I don't know. You know, perhaps I did play a little part. I think there was a lot of pressure put on them, and they saw sense. The most important thing is we got an option. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I haven't downloaded my NFC, and the funny thing about, and this is the thing that worries me about the NFC, they know if you've downloaded it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the power of it. They know. They keep emailing me because I've got 2 season tickets. Yeah. I've downloaded the ticket for one. I haven't done anything with the other one because my son-in-law, he's going to be working at the weekend. So I've sort of waited to see what to do with that. And I keep getting emails from West Ham saying, you haven't downloaded your NFC. It's the only way you get in the ground. And I find that funny because I've got an email from the club saying, today, you've not downloaded your NFC. It's the only way you get in the ground. And I'm thinking, well, no, it ain't, is it?
No, it ain't. Well, that's the irony. See, I've forwarded my daughter's ticket, and I've downloaded mine, and I'm getting, because I control both emails because they're both on my email address. I'm getting reminders for my daughter's ticket. Just that. Have you done? Well, no, I haven't downloaded it because I forwarded it on. You know, so it's a bit weird, but anyway. So good on that. Right, what should we talk about next? I'll tell you what we'll talk about next, to try not to talk about transfers, and that's Viborg FC, who looks like we're going to be facing in the playoff. Yeah, they beat B36 Torvaren 3-0 in the first leg of their playoff. So it looks like we'll be playing them in the next round. So thank you to the people who follow this show, who are Scandinavian hammers, Kenneth and another chap, I've forgotten his name, it's on my phone, who sent me information about the club because they corrected me on a number of things. Because when I talked about Viborg or Viborg the other day, when I looked up how to get to that part of Denmark, all I could find was a 6-hour flight, indirect flight to Midtjylland, up the north of Denmark, and then you had to get to the stadium from there. But I've been corrected. Apparently, you can fly from Stansted to Billund airport in an hour and a half, just over an hour and a half, and then it's about an hour's drive from there. Do you fancy going up there, Nigel? No.
To be honest, I've always wanted to go to the Faroe Islands.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to get that chance now.
No.
Certainly not for
West Ham. I'm not sure. I mean, let's face it. What's the away ticketing?
But this is it. This is why it's good to have Scandinavian friends who watch this show, because Viborg or Viborg doesn't have an official supporters club unit, etc. So it sounds like, I mean, their capacity is 9,500. It sounds like you can just buy tickets anywhere. I could be wrong.
So you could have 7,000 West Ham fans there. What is their
have 7,000?
What's their average attendance?
I've got absolutely no idea.
Fucking hell, Stel, come on! I thought that was your gig.
I've got no idea because I had to get other stuff about them. I found out about, how many times they've been champions and all that sort of stuff.
Have they ever been champions?
Yeah, once. Danish champion once, Danish Cup winners once. And I suggested in the show the other day, when I was doing when I'm looking at the draw, that they'd never been in Europe, but I was corrected again. They've been in Europe in 2021. And then there's, number of teams in their league and all that sort of stuff. And then I've got given a lot of other good information. They've been likened to a championship style Brentford. So they are a Brentford type team. They're quite, packed.
That's us out of the competition.
Oh no! When I was told that, I was like, "Uh oh." They play like a 4-3-3 with kind of almost like wingers with a big support man, and they got the old Leeds player. What's his name? There's a guy on the left there. His name's I'll get it in a minute. J. Rock Grot, who played for Leeds. And they're good on the passing, counter attack, etc., etc. There's their style, and they recently beat the champions of Denmark last weekend, Copenhagen, by 4-2. So they're not going to be a walkover. Hang on, Bitcoin's back. Let me just get rid of Bitcoins.
God, he is desperate tonight.
Jesus, mate, honestly. So I mean, now that I've given a bit more detail about Viborg, whatever. We have to take Europe seriously, haven't we?
Yeah, probably.
Are you not bothered, or I am? I want us to win. I want us to win a cup. Season.
Look, let's take a look at last season. Zagreb played Champions League qualifiers. We beat, I believe, Vienna played a Champions League qualifier early round. We beat them. We beat Chelsea, who played Champions League football. We beat Liverpool, who played Champions League football. We drew with Man City twice, knocked them out of League Cup, drew with them at home. They played Champions League football. In fact, only Man United,
ironically,
who were in the Champions League, we didn't get anything against. So we beat these Champions League teams. We beat or got points against. So actually, am I concerned about Viborg, who sounds like a robot from a RoboCop, like a model type?
Well, Mr. Mays thinks it sounds like a name of a dildo. Goals.
Well, yeah. But am I concerned about? I mean, should we be worried that they beat the champions of Denmark? Not really.
What I've been told by Kenneth, who's watches this show, is that they are roughly, the level are bottom half of the championship. That's their level.
Are you worried? We should. Then? Are you worried about playing Reading?
I'm worried about a banana skin. To be honest with you, I'm worried about a banana skin. I mean, can you imagine the furore if we didn't make it into the group stages? And JTD, the first game is on first playoff is on the 18th of August, mate.
We're at home,
and we're at home. And then on the 25th, we play the away game, and that's to get into Europa Conference League proper, to get into the group stages, which starts in, I'm going to say October, but I might be wrong. Or was it September?
No, it's September, because it's all got to be done by the end of November.
Before the World Cup.
No,
the group stage has to be done.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The group stages, normally the group stages are finished in December. There ain't nothing in December.
Yeah.
Perhaps Smeagol's going down the right line. He's getting all that Stragugu vibes. I mean, he's got a good point there, because, Astra Gerju, to give them their right name, we'd never bloody heard of them. And they turned up and turned us over.
Twice.
2 years running.
Twice, mate. Not just one time, but twice.
So there is that, and what were they? They're playing third-tier Romanian football.
We're Romanian,
yeah. I know they've been relegated out of the top division now. So, under Pellegrini, though, we lost to Oxford, we lost to Wimbledon, we lost to Wigan.
Yeah,
all Division 1 team or League 1 teams.
I was there for Oxford, and I was there for Wimbledon.
So
when under Pellegrini, and they were sad days. They were.
Yeah. So we know. I don't need to educate people. It's in our DNA. Yeah. Shit happens.
Do you think shit's going to happen this time, or do you think Moyes is going to say he wants to win something, doesn't he? You could see he does. You know, he's not going to take these games lightly.
It's a tough one. I'll tell you why, because we've got this start against Man City.
We'll let him have a point out of that.
Who we've beat.
Dawson's going to have Haaland in his pocket.
We've beat once in the last 14 games.
Don't worry.
This is the fourth time we've played them first game of the season, and we've never scored against them when playing them in the first game of the season. You know, I think
but we break a duck, don't we? You know,
in the Premier League we've scored 45 goals, is it, or 42, and they've scored 76 in the Premier League against.
And they've only just gone out and bought a striker, because that was without a striker, as you.
And bearing in mind, we've had more Premier League seasons than Man City have.
Well, you're not making anyone feel happier about what's coming up on Sunday.
But what I'm saying is that he then goes after that. That puts pressure realistically on the, up next, Forest, their first home game in the Premier League for 2 decades.
And just to add spice to it, Lingard as well.
Yeah, and then we've got Newcastle, is it?
You know what? I've got the list in front. I've got the list.
After Brighton. So Brighton, a team we've never beat in the Premier League.
Things are going to change. You see, everyone is doom and gloom, and it goes back to what we started talking about at the start of the show. About the size of the squad, and are we going to have the quality on the bench and all that sort of stuff. And people are looking at that and going, oh my God, we're going to have the same team lining up against Man City. But ironically, the same team, the first 11, our first best 11 that we will have available to us, did the business last season, didn't they? They gave us a lot of good memories and so on. So why all of a sudden is everyone dooming and glooming about that?
Well, it's not dooming and glooming, is it? Is it? I mean, the mad thing is that we're playing Man City again. And it's only 3 months ago we drew 2-2. We were 2-0 up. Were we not?
2-0 up. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if they hadn't come back and got the equaliser, Liverpool would have won the league.
They would have. Yeah.
You know, and so it's only 3 months ago, and on the basis of that, well, this team weren't that bad then, was it?
No, it weren't. We all know how last season went. Last season was really, really good up to a point where, we went through a patch where it just felt like that patch was a bit prolonged, where we weren't managing to win games regularly, etc. But we kind of pulled it back again, didn't we? In Europe, up to the semi-finals, and then it was a bit hit and miss. Brighton was an awful game to watch, but we started really well in the first half. Man City, the game before that, was a superb game, and as you rightly pointed out, we played fantastically well that day against Man City. Who, as you again rightly pointed out, they were going for if they could have wrapped it all up against us, they would have done, but we weren't going to give them that, and we did well. And I think this whole thing about being fearful of Man City. All right, I know you've just reeled off the stats. We played them 4 times, first game of the season, we haven't scored a goal, etc. But these are different times, aren't they? And we are, as you always say, we're evolving. And even if we don't see any of the new signings lining up against them on Sunday, we've got enough in our locker, haven't we? To get by without Scamacca and Aguerd and players like that for now.
Well,
more credit where it's due, no?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. I'd be looking to bring Scamacca on for half hour. I'd be looking.
Sounds like he's not going to play him at all.
I would be looking. Well, the worry is that what I don't fathom is what is so wrong with him that he didn't go to Lens.
Yeah.
Even to be part of the squad, he's just joined the club.
Yeah.
And you think, even to put the tracksuit on and sit there and watch him, but be with them. No, he walks around Westfield looking like some sad sap on a Saturday afternoon.
That seemed
with
really
nowhere
odd.
to go.
That did seem very, very odd. Why not take him with them?
Yeah,
That did seem odd.
that's it. So, Lons ain't that bloody far. It's half hour through the tunnel. You go through the tunnel, turn left, and there it is.
Maybe like Zuma, he's wanted in France for something.
Well, yeah.
Kicking a cat or something. Not that
But
I'm advocating kicking cats.
no, but
But
it's
yeah.
that's the way I see it. But realistically, if we don't get 4 points out of the first 3 games,
Talking about cats.
all right, yeah, here we go. Is that
Go
called
on.
Colin? Is it?
No, this is Wasabi. This is Wasabi.
Wasabi.
Yeah, I didn't name him.
All right.
Yeah, if we don't
would
get
you have
4,
done better then? Would you?
probably not. No.
No, right. What would you have called him?
I don't know. Nigel or something.
Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Farage.
See, my gut tells me that there's a lot of we haven't signed enough players. We're going to get absolutely slaughtered the first half a dozen games that we've got. We're gonna have trouble, etc. And I don't buy into that because I asked the question. I think even in our little WhatsApp group, have we become shit? These players have given us a lot of good memories, and surely to God that we're not going to be that bad that we're going to get stuffed by Man City and Forest and Brighton and all that. I think we're going to surprise people, aren't we? Or am I being a bit overly optimistic?
And this is where I can depress the life out of you. Yeah?
Don't.
Or I can make you think we are. And this was what I call the beauty of supporting West Ham. And the reason why is the beauty of supporting West Ham, because I can point to you all those stats where Man City wiped the floor with us. But then I can also go, but 3 months ago, they struggled against us. Same team. It's only 3 months ago. Yeah. 3 games ago, or 2 games ago. That's it. 2 games ago, they couldn't beat us. So there's that point. Then there's Forest, new team coming up, West Ham, soft belly, always get rolled over against teams like that. Or actually, our away record in the Premier League against Forest is pretty bloody decent.
Right.
They've been out the Premier League for 25 years. We haven't.
Yeah.
I think this will be. I think if we don't get relegated this season, it'll be then our longest ever run in the Premier League without being relegated. Or possibly this is the season. No, I think this will be it. Season will be it. If we don't get it down, that's it. It's our longest ever run without being relegated in the Premier League. So, but what I'll say is the beauty of West Ham is because actually we could argue the case for every result in each of the next 3 or 4, even now with the bleeding Danish team, who I thought we were going to bleed and wipe the floor with them. Yeah, even now I'm thinking, well, perhaps they're not as shit as I thought they'd be.
I don't think they are.
You think, they're the Danish Brentford. Well, we all know what Brentford did to West Ham last season.
Fucking exactly.
But
twice.
Again, this is the beauty, and what I say to people is, this is the beauty of supporting West Ham. It's what makes me go back after years and years and years and years of going there, because we don't know. I'd be bored. Bitcoin's back. I'd be bored out of my life if I went to games thinking, we won this. Don't.
And ironically, the games that we do go to, saying in our heads where we've won this, as you've just rightly pointed out, we'll get fucking stuffed.
Yeah. Look at Brentford. Who thought Brentford would do the double over us?
Fuck me. Who thought a shit Man United team would do the double over us? It's like that sort of thing. And then we go and beat Liverpool, and we could beat, Chelsea and teams like that.
That's it.
It is the unknown.
We beat the decent teams, and we lost to the shite teams. Even Arsenal was shite when we played.
And beat us. Yeah. And beat us.
But
you're right. And that's why I don't have I can't get on the bandwagon of it's all going to be disastrous. we may well lose on Sunday. You know, I've been asked, and we will do the predictions in a minute, WHU. But
I'll just say that Kevin Baring question. I don't really want to answer that.
I'll get to that in a minute because I'm looking at another question first. You know, and that's why I can't buy into we may lose on Sunday and we may lose badly, but I don't think, you know, the irony about, say, a team like Man City is we've been stuffed 5-0, 5-1, whatever it's been, but we've been progressively, now we've got to a point where we're disappointed. When we went and played them away last season when it was snowing, we were disappointed that we lost 2-1. We thought we deserved more out of it. And again, against them at the second from last game of the season, as you said, we were 2-0 up. And we were fucking, people walking out of the stadium going, "Fuck, we drew," and I'm thinking, well, we actually gave that away. They're a good team. They're a good team, but I like at 2-0. I thought that we've got this. We're going to beat them, and I was actually more disappointed at getting a draw, whereas people were happy getting a draw.
Yeah,
for me, I think. I can't buy into this. If we do lose on Sunday, we lose on Sunday. But I don't think that's going to determine our season. So I'm going to go on to this question because.
Quickly, I'll just to stat people. Arsenal lost the first 3 games of the season last year and finished 5th.
There you go.
Yeah. In the very first Premier League 30 years ago, I've done an article for tomorrow on 6foot2.co.uk. West Ham weren't in it, because we'd been relegated from Division 1 to Division 1. One of only 3 clubs to do that. But after 2 games, Man United were bottom and Arsenal was second from bottom. Top of the table was Norwich on goal difference from Coventry.
And who went down that season?
And who won the league? Yeah. Man United won the league that year.
Yeah.
So at the start of the season, it don't matter.
It don't matter.
We could be bottom of the table after the first game, after a 6-0 defeat, but we're still 3 points from the top.
Yeah. And that's why I think it doesn't determine our season. It doesn't shape our season.
No.
So given that, WHU wants to know league and cup predictions for West Ham to the end of this season.
Fucking hell. That's just changed after watching that Viberg. I'll stick with what I thought because I go all out. I think we go to the final. I think we go to the final of the Conference League. I think we finish 8th or 9th in the league.
Now, all right. I know this is a hot topic. Is that a successful season or a failure?
For me, that's a successful season.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, people. Well, why don't we finish off the show because we've done an hour and a half, and and I'm glad that we haven't talked about transfers because there's more to talk about than transfers. And people, if you want your hit on transfers, I'm doing a show tomorrow, and I will update you on Cornet, and I will update you on all the other transfers.
Monday night.
And then there's Monday night as well. So I'm going to be giving him
Sunday night still on Monday.
Well, yeah.
Unless he's busy, he'll do it Tuesday.
I've actually stuck to Mondays, to be quite honest with you.
You do well now.
I've done well. But you know what I'm thinking?
I'll catch the last half hour after I finish the podcast.
But you see, now that the winters start drawing in, you always know winter's coming because they start announcing fucking Strictly Come Dancing's back on, and you know that you're leading into your winter periods. So if it gets really bad winter, I might go back onto Sundays, maybe. But that depends on.
The only problem you got with that still is we are playing
a lot of games,
a lot of football on Sundays.
What did you say? Did you see another comment, a question that was asked? I can't see.
No, it was someone that asked me if I'm a hoarder.
Oh yeah. I've seen that. Yeah. Here's Nigel a hoarder. Fuck me, Kevin. If you can't, if Nigel spun his camera around, you'd know the answer to that straight away, mate. I'll tell you.
I've got off the top of my head. I did a count up a couple of years ago, but I have increased the collection. I think I had. I think I was on. I think it was about 95 books on West Ham So that would be autobiographies, club annuals, everything. I had 150 books on football that were non-West Ham. I probably hit 3,000 football programs now.
Jesus.
And then, there's autograph collections, ticket collections, train collections. Yeah, I mean, I've got football magazines that I collect. I try and buy one of every football magazine that's been in existence. So I've got football magazines from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And then I've got before 442 magazines, back past I've got probably 400 or 500 football magazines now.
I think, Kevin, you got your answer. That he is a hoarder. Yeah. He absolutely is.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I haven't got enough wall space for pictures.
Well, look, mate. I'm soon moving. Into a proper studio.
Well, the idea
is I might buy some off you.
I'm reorganising. So the aim is to actually turn it into a proper museum. So I've sort of
charge people coming
at the end of the year. The aim is to I've got my eye out for some glass display cabinets.
Yeah. So I'm going to do that. So if you set up, you can charge people for coming in to you charge them a little fee. Would you issue the tickets on NFC, or would you actually send them a paper?
Well, the funny thing about this is that when they sold off stuff at the bowling, this is true, because obviously I was planning, it was going to be a museum, but I've got too much, to be honest. The idea was, obviously, because I am in security technology, car technology, which I did explain to her at ticking when she thought she was going to baffle me, and I explained to her, oh, by the way, I do access control systems for a living, worked in some of London's biggest hospitals and one of London's biggest universities, and looked after systems that have had like 5,000 doors controlled by card access. We know how it works. My idea was to actually buy a turnstile, and I have set it up. I've got a card access system here, and I've programmed some of my old season tickets to make it work. But the turnstiles went for stupid money. So my aim is to get a turnstile, probably not an Upton Park, but any turnstile that would work, just so when you turn up, and I'll give you
what happened to the turnstiles at the old ground.
Well, I know a mate of mine bought one at the auction. It was quite funny because I had 500 quid at the auction, and I'm sitting there, and my wife came with me. Yes. And she didn't go West Ham, and she came with me to make sure that I only spent £500. And the first thing they sold was a picture, and it was a picture of a tram. Somewhere I've got the auction catalogue, because obviously with my paddle number, and that picture sold for £450.
That you bought?
No.
Oh, you didn't buy? Okay.
No, I'm mad, not stupid. This is what I tell people, yeah. So I'm sitting there and thinking, so the next thing is they hold a picture up of, like, I think it was like Trevor Brooking, and then there's that sold for 450 quid. So instead they've just unscrewed a picture of Trevor Brooking that they had in the tunnel in the ground, and I'm thinking, now I buy auctions, I know what I pay. I don't pay that. People went silly, but then the turnstile come up, and I thought, well, let's see what it goes for. £2,500.
Oof.
But then I hear a funny story about a mate of mine who bought a turnstile for £2,500.
Oh, so you knew he bought it?
Yeah, so I knew he bought it. To be honest, I think he's put a glass top on it and made it a table. It does look lovely.
Oh, really?
It does look lovely. But he bought it it was a chicken run. Tell him about your carrier bags, Nigel. I've got a collection of carrier bags. Yes.
West Ham carrier bags.
West Ham obviously West Ham carrier.
Well, I was worried a bit for a minute.
White one, claret ones,
carrier bags,
cardboard
or something like
ones.
that.
No, cardboard.
What's your favourite favourite book?
Book. Stay there quickly.
He'll be back, people. He's got to get his favourite book.
Favourite book. I'll tell you what it is. It was done by an American, funny enough, and it was done in 1986, and it was by a bloke called Charles Core. And it was a social history basically of West Ham United, and basically he was an American professor that came over to West Ham in the 1980s, early 80s, and West Ham gave him total access to their records, and he told the story of West Ham in a book, but like a social history, and it was that book that kick-started my fascination, social fascination with West Ham historically, because when Charles Core writes about the places, these were places I was living in at the time. So it was sort of embedded me into, into the area, because when he talks about Hermit Road, I used to go down Hermit Road. When he talks about the Barking Road, I spent half my life working on the Barking Road. When he talks about Canning Town, my family were market traders in Canning Town. I lived there. When you read a book and it's about where you come from, and it's about the football team you support, and everything else, and it explains the history of the people that formed West Ham United. And this is the people that formed West Ham United. It tells a story about the Thames Ironworks and the creation of West Ham United, and perhaps it explains sometimes my friction in that I see them as two separate entities.
Yeah, because your argument is that West Ham, when we celebrated our centenary,
we celebrate. We did celebrate our centenary in 1995 by getting beat, I think, by Sporting Lisbon. There weren't many at the game. I was there, but as a kid growing up, 1900. If you ask me when West Ham United was formed, 1900.
Yeah, not 1895, because
not
that was Thames Ironworks.
Yeah, totally different.
WHU also wants to know: are there any old particular West Ham annuals you don't have?
I think there's a few, but I don't think I've got them all. I still get the West Ham. I know they're like mainly for kids now, but I still obviously get the West Ham annuals. I think there's a few in the 90s I haven't got. Do I have any West Ham birthday cards? Yes, I do. Actually,
this has turned into a Nigel show.
Yeah, so this is my season tickets. Oh, that's a West Ham wallet, unused. Look at that, bowling. Well, I won't use it. So this is
the irony. They're still selling wallets now in the shop when they were not giving season ticket cards.
Yeah, so this is like my season ticket collection. But in the bottom here is a birthday card that says, "Dear Nigel, happy 45th birthday from the managers and players of West Ham United Football Club." Yeah.
Look at that.
And do you want to hear a funny story? I don't know if I should tell this. The funny story about this, people may not know. Well, back then, they're not real autographs, they're stamps.
Oh. Well.
People never knew. Someone sat in there and went, "You got Rob Green?" Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Let's finish off. We're nearly done 2 hours, and we've hardly talked about transfers.
But that's what the late show's all about. Thanks for joining me still.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah,
no, honestly, that's why it is the late, because it isn't about, it's just like, I mean, how many tangents have we gone off? We started off talking about Cornet and then transfers and how many other players we might think we might sign and all that, and then it just went off on a tangent from there. But that's why it's not scripted.
And I didn't even get to say, I hope he's not a bit flaky.
And no, he's not wearing the number 99 shirt. He's no, they haven't done that to him. Number 4, our new number 14. He is Cornet. And people wanted to know it's £17.5 million, 5-year contract with an option of an additional year. He's 25 years of age, so hopefully we'll get the best years out of him. Great, and more to come. David Moyes has said business hasn't finished yet, so I think it might be a very interesting last 3 weeks or so. Right, any last thoughts? Let's do a prediction for Sunday. Go
on. Well, we put our predictions on the website still, didn't we?
I forgot what I said.
Well, I know what I said. I believe it was a 4-0 defeat.
Yeah, which is rather silly of you because it ain't going to happen. I think I predicted a draw. I can't remember.
You may have done, actually. Yeah, I was very positive. Well, I'm a
mate,
realist.
I know I am. No, realism is not 4-0 anymore. That's the old West Ham. This is the new West Ham. Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to be back on Saturday to do an update show on transfers. Of course, there's the Monday West Ham Weekly on Monday night. You've got to listen to more than, if you don't already do so, you've got to listen to more than just the podcast, of course, which comes out either late Monday or Tuesday, whenever Sean.
It'll be Tuesday this week because obviously he's in Mexico eating his way through the menus.
He'll come back and he'll be upset because he's fucking put on all that weight again.
Yeah, I've been tucking in the food as well. So he's still texting me now. You can tell he's in Mexico because he's up past midnight, and he says, "Should we see anything interesting?" Let's have a look.
Let's see what he said.
West Ham transfer summer investment reaches 107.5.
He loves that. I've got that.
With potential add-ons, 88 million. Yeah, blah.
He loves bigging it up, doesn't he? He loves bigging it up.
Oh, there's a player here. He sent a picture of a player.
Oh, go on.
Right, hold up. Let me forward it to you. I don't know who it is. So there you go. Hang about, people. This might be interesting. Who is that?
He's I don't know his name. He's another Ivorian footballer that he plays in. You know what? Give me a second. This might be an exclusive. If you lot are still waiting, this might be an exclusive for you. And let me get the name of the footballer because I know him. I've seen. Apparently, we're interested in another Ivorian footballer, and his name is West Ham Canal. Yeah, here we go. His name is Ibrahim Sangara, and he plays for PSV Eindhoven, midfielder. Now that we've stopped our interest in Onana, it looks like David Moyes definitely wants an alternative. So apparently Ibrahim Sangara, who's also an Ivorian footballer, international, could be a target for us. He is said to have been at PSV's recent showdown with Monaco, blah, 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 and looks like he might be a next target. So given that we've stopped on Onana, we might. Here you go. There, Sangara is mustard, said Hammerhead. So watch out for that, people. There you go, an exclusive. I bet Sean ain't going to like the fact that.
Well, the beauty of it is he's sitting in Mexico, so he don't even know what we're doing here.
We don't even know what we're doing. There you go. And don't tell him because he makes a point of saying, my son watches you, as if to say, but I don't. Yeah. That's all right, Sean. So there you go, people. An exclusive. See, there you go. We do talk about transfers, albeit 1 hour, 53 minutes into the show. Right, that's it. We're going to go. Done 2 hours. Thank you all for watching. Really much appreciated. If you're new to the channel, do hit the subscribe button and all that stuff, and hit the like button. And we'll be on Nigel's show again, probably in a month's time, to have a look at the other part of his shed. No, but it's a good idea. I know you've done it before, but if people are up for it, we'll do a show and we'll
do one, and perhaps the best way to do it is to probably just let people in the chat ask me, and then I'll just go and dig it out because I don't know what people would be interested in.
All right,
or not.
Yeah.
I could. Yeah, I've got shirts, scarves, pictures, trains, cars. bottles of water, but sweet bottles of water that are 10 years old. Never been. West Ham United bottled water, 10 years old,
Never
unopened.
opened.
Never. You wouldn't want to drink
Do you
it
know?
now.
I mean, it is an interesting thing. I mean, it's not West Ham, but do you remember the old Coca-Cola bottles that used to be stretched?
Yeah.
I used to have one of those, and I was like, apparently they're quite collectors now. And I went to Lynn. I said, I'm gonna put it up to eBay and sell it. I took it, got it out of where I had it stored, and guess what happened to it?
I don't know.
I smashed it against it by accident because the neck was so thin. I cracked it, and the smell of the water inside was disgusting. But there you go, non-West Ham related. Neil, how are you? I haven't seen you for ages. I hope you're well, and thank you for joining and watching, mate. Thank you all, much appreciated. Do join me again tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a show about transfers. Like I said, West Ham Weekly comes back on Monday night, so join me for that. And we'll have Mr. Khan on. We love having him on because he's regularly. There you go. Oh, are you committing to that now? Are you?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Oh, fuck me, gee. There you go. So we'll do Friday lates regularly. I don't know how often. Once a month, once every few weeks.
At least once a month. Yeah.
At least once a month. Okay. Thank you all for joining. Really much appreciated. And good luck to West Ham on Sunday. It'll be our first 3 points. Easy 3 points, of course. And we'll see you all very soon.